In the CBRM, we have a lot of big asks for stuff that has to come from the province, including the renewal of the $15 million in increased equalization funding. But with recent comments like, it's like we're not being respected or we can't be an afterthought coming from our mayor, I'm not sure that throwing shade at the premier is in order right now, and I'll explain why. Hi, I'm Joe Ward of Boxer Shorts Media, and I think there's a pattern emerging. And the pattern is that the CBRM isn't keeping up with their homework. And once it becomes an issue, they look to cast blame somewhere else. Look, let's be clear, at this point, if we lose the $15 million, it'll be the CBRM that's primarily responsible. But just the same, I'll still be keeping an eye on Houston's MLAs like John White, who responds to my messages, and Brian Comer, who seems to avoid them, just to see if they stand up for us or just take a seat. I'm a firm believer that there are times when the kid gloves have to come off. But here's the issue I see right now. Mayor McDougall really has no excuse for a lack of communication directly with the premier, if that's what's required. And it's pretty clear that it is right now. As I mentioned in a previous video, McDougall has a direct relationship with the Premier's Chief of Staff through the local Cape Breton Voices group for women in leadership roles. Do not underestimate how effective a text message saying, "Hey, I need to sit down with Tim for a conversation" might be, instead of letting the media share unflattering commentary. But this isn't just a one-off issue. There's actually a troubling pattern observable with the new CBRM mayor and council. They appear not to be preparing in advance, but reacting after the fact. If some examples would be helpful, there are several. Do you remember the recent boiling over of the debate passing a property tax cut for the CBRM? Well, they all went into budget sessions and treated Bruckschwager as though he had committed an unforgivable offense to the guiding principle of Robert's Rule of Order, otherwise known as the most boring book ever written, but the one they used to guide council procedure. Here's the thing, folks. Don't go into a budget session and act like nobody has ever done the work to prepare for a tax cut in advance, or act as though it was a shock that it might be a high priority request after hosting community budget consultation sessions where taxes and the tax cap were persistent concern. What's the pattern? It's the last minute scramble. It's the doing too little, too late. It's the apparent lack of preparation. Apply that approach to the tax cut, and the end result was a poorly structured cut that ended up returning money to big box stores who aren't exactly struggling. But wait, there's more. As reported by Tom Ayers of the CBC and Ian Nathanson of Saltwire, Mayor McDougall sent letters to the province that would best be characterized as late submissions. One letter thanked the Premier for doubling the equalization grant and asked for better consultation. The other was regarding the non-resident property tax. I'm just going to state the obvious here, but expressing gratitude for adding $15 million to the budget of the CBRM and asking about its future should have been done a very, very long time ago. CBRM Mayor and Council actually went into a budget session before the Premier had even been formally thanked for the help, let alone asked for confirmation that it would be renewed. Likewise, any municipal government opposition to the non-resident property tax should have been submitted right out of the gate, not after the government was already underway with its dismantling of the policy. The recent media coverage suggests that the mayor suggested the Houston government should be listening to municipalities because the world of taxation is their world. But wait just a minute, is that actually correct? Assessments are done by Property Valuation Services Corporation on behalf of the province, and the province controls the Municipal Government Act and whatever it allows for taxation policy. The province created the cap system and has to authorize any changes. But when we think of those whose world is supposedly taxation expertise, they couldn't even go into a municipal budget session prepared in advance to move a motion to approve an effective and well thought out tax reduction. Did a tax cut for Walmart look like the kind of outcome experts in the world of taxation would have come up with? Let's pause and think about the term leadership for a moment, and let's make this very clear with a visual. Think about the Cabot Trail relay race. Imagine seeing all those runners dispersed along the roadway. Now zoom up to the runners furthest ahead, and what do we call them? Well, they're the leaders, aren't they? But why are they the leaders? They're the leaders because they're out in front of everyone else. Leaders aren't supposed to be at the back of the pack. Unfortunately, that's the pattern we're seeing with the CBRM right now. They're taking a leisurely stroll at the back of the pack. They're still filling up their water bottles when the rest of the runners are already racking up steps on their Fitbit counters. But later they'll just come up with an excuse on why they finished with such poor results. And that's just not leadership. It's actually completely opposite to the concept of leadership. Being too late to respond and not being prepared sets us back. Let's look at another example. The previous mayor and administration made a lot of fuss about how they were going to pursue a charter designed to give them a laundry list of new powers that would directly help the CBRM. But if you take a look at the CBRM strategic vision, section 2.3 says to re-engage the charter committee. Is that all we're going to see every 4 years? A new mayor and council will come in, overlook the lack of progress, and then recommit to re-engaging a charter committee, have the clerk file the meeting minutes, and then forget all about it once again? Back in February, at least CBRM Planning Director Michael Roos demonstrated that he had some practical advice. The gist of what he said is, we can develop a charter if the stuff we want can't be included in the Municipal Government Act, or we can convince them, being the province, to add some of the stuff to the Municipal Government Act that we need and make it a province-wide change. But his recommendation was to make a list of the items the CBRM has on their wish list that aren't already included in the MGA. That seems practical to me. So what's the delay? At what point can we expect the CBRM to blame the province again? Will it be after they fail to make that list? Let's not allow the CBRM to offer endless excuses on why this charter initiative has been delayed. The pandemic certainly didn't stop the CBRM mayor, council, and administrators from coming up with a list of stuff they needed to add to the MGA or to be included in the new CBRM charter to extend their municipal authority. Sure, there may be some computer viruses that can transmit through Zoom, but COVID-19 certainly isn't one of them. So where's the list? I think it's best for the CBRM to make sure they have all of their own ducks in a row before they start playing duck hunt with the province. Premier Houston gave us $15 million after years of pleading for more money to help us get by. Instead of throwing shade, we might want to express our extreme gratitude, or perhaps another more common Cape Bretonese term for doing the same would be appropriate. Make sure we don't lose the $15 million. If we're not going to fight for more, they should at least try to lock in the new funding Houston sent our way. Accountability among political leadership is important. Clearly, I'm not one to use kid gloves or to suggest that criticism is off limits, including between different levels of government and their leaders. But the CBRM does need to be on top of our game. We can't wait until the premier ditches a bad policy and then say, oh yeah, we were totally against that. If you're against it, make sure everyone knows that you are at your earliest convenience. As I've said, the pattern at the CBRM looks to me like they're not doing their homework, but they're trying to misdirect responsibility. Picking a fight with the premier, who finally opened the provincial wallet a little bit more in our favor, probably isn't the best idea right now. If we're an afterthought for the province or not commanding respect, then maybe it's because we're not doing the work to make the province treat us as a priority on all of the matters that are of fundamental importance to us. For future episodes of Boxer Shorts Media, please subscribe on your choice of YouTube or Facebook, and please share your feedback in the comments below.
Please hang up and try again.